Valkyrie play. I thought he was going to just go Goliath. Actually, looks like he's getting both. He has Goliath and a Valkyrie out right now and producing a second Valkyrie. So, yeah, he's been forced to kind of play very, very defensively right now. Midas, he can't really push out with tanks and Goliaths because he doesn't have enough of them. So he's got to wait for Valkyrie. He's got to wait for some more Goliaths, and he won't have as much of a tank count. So the counter to this would be Frozean taking a base or two right now. Maybe take an island at the lower left or lower right, and it looks like he's looking to do that at the lower right. Maybe. I think that's probably an SCV. We do have two Valkyries, and against paper planes, Valkyries will do very, very well. Just a couple of them. I'm not entirely certain how many it takes to kill off a group of rates. I would imagine probably like 4, but with a single volley from each of those two will weaken them significantly. That Goliaths will just start picking them off one by one very, very quickly. So it is so 2 probably will wait for a third before he'll feel confident enough to push out. He'll have to be very, very careful with them, of course, and keep tabs of where the rates are at all times, because the rates can come in there while the Valkyries maybe don't have enough Goliath support. That will be absolutely awful for Midas. And Frozean gonna pick off this barracks very, very quickly. Now, will he stay there too long and allow these Valkyries to get a volley in? No, he will not. So the two Valkyries and the solitary Wraith are not going to get there in time to punish Frozean at all. And Frozean getting the bottom right, Midas getting the top left, so both players getting their third. And I'm surprised that Frozean hasn't seen that top left base and trying to stop it yet. He's going in there with the cloak race, getting a scout on here. Looks like he just wanted the scout and wanted to know what's going on. Maybe I think he might have actually been flying through there looking for Valkyries. Maybe he thought Valkyries were there, so he's hoping that maybe there's a bunch of them sitting there and he could catch them while Midas wasn't paying attention. He's going to stop this command center actually from coming up at the top left and just going to move on with his Wraith force. And if he actually comes south, he might be able to pick off some more SCVs, which he's going to be able to do. Now, will the Valkyries be able to come and punish him? Once again, this is getting to be very, very interesting with the Valkyrie play. And this kind of reminds me of what, who was it? Sack? Or Classic, one of them, did to Flash in their MSL group, where they just went Valkyries and really just annihilated Flash's Wraith group, and then just went on to dominate the game and win. And this kind of reminded me of that Midas could do something very similar again, similar to that against Frozean here. Frozean obviously not choosing to mix in Valkyries with his group, even though they might not be a bad idea considering the number of Wraiths that Midas is starting to build up here. Midas is trying to get a little bit of a contain on here. He does have some tanks out there, and actually getting the first couple volleys in on the tanks of Frozean. So Frozean with some bad micro there, actually taking some shots on his tanks before they were able to get into position to siege. Yeah, Frozean definitely has to be a little bit more careful with his siege timing, and my throat is getting a little bit dry, so I'm just going to take a little break for a couple seconds. Alright, I'm back. My voice and my vocal cords, my throat are just not responding as well as they should be for a commentating day for doing a series of games, but we'll get through this, I hope. Hopefully I won't have to stop halfway through or anything like that. We do have a second control tower coming up for Frozean, so he's going to start transitioning into some heavy dropship play. Probably won't see too many more Wraiths produced. And here, you know, this is... I don't know if Midas really has strong enough of a contain here. He is being forced back. It doesn't look like he has a whole lot of tanks left, and it looks like another Wraith was actually picked off there by Frozean's Goliath, so... This game has gotten very, very interesting. Midas has taken 2 bases at the north, taking the 12 o'clock and the 12 o'clock natural. Frozean is countering with the top right island base. So if this is allowed to continue, Midas will go up a base. But Frozean with those 3 dropships could do a lot of damage. We haven't seen any dropships yet from Midas. He spent so much of his time and his gas on those Valkyries and building some counter rates that he really hasn't you know, have the time to dedicate with the starports to dropships yet. He is building up some turrets in his main to counter any sort of drop into there, which is a very, very smart idea, very, very wise, and could serve him well if Frozean does something stupid. But Frozean will very, very likely scan before he goes in. Even Frozean knows to scan before you go in there for a drop, I think, and probably won't be able to catch much of anything. And, oh, look at this. Here he comes in with the Wraith to pick off the turret, and then here comes the drop with a bunch of tanks and Goliaths as well. So they're going to tear through a lot of this, and it's going to be interesting to see how he decides to respond. We actually see these wraiths being split into two different groups, and it looks like a lot of the wraiths for Frozean did go down, but still not enough of them for, I think, for Midas to feel comfortable just going in there for a charge. And it looks like Frozean is going to dedicate to this, picking up some more units with the dropship, going to bring them in as well, it looks like. And it looks like he's going to try and finish him off right now. The Valkyrie's getting another couple volleys in, picking off a lot more of the raids, and they are actually going to stop the dropships from coming in for a second round. Frozean not able to bring in those 4 or so extra tanks that he wanted to before he lost that aerial war. So this is going to be very, very interesting. It looks like Frozean actually going to try and come in from an odd angle, going to try and bypass the aerial force, and it looks like he'll be very successful if he wants to go for it. He is going to go for it, and he's going to be able to drop some more units right into Midas's main. So this is going to be really bad for Midas. Midas is really going to struggle here to clean this up, to defend against this. He doesn't have enough forces right now. He's bringing some of his tanks back, but I think he really was hoping that his aerial superiority would allow him to win. I don't think that he anticipated Frozean being able to get that second drop in so easily, and that is really going to hurt him very, very badly. Midas was able to go and pick off, it looks like, all of the dropships, but still, he is hurting very, very much. He does have all these bases going up, so he does still have mining going on, and he has moved the SCVs away, but his production is in huge trouble right now. His entire main has basically been forced to lift huge globs of it, and we have the Stargate being lifted off. We have a lot of factories burning, and more of them are going to go down and be struggling here. I don't know where Midas is going to find the troops to clean this up. He just doesn't have them, and he doesn't have the factories elsewhere. He's just in huge trouble right now. Midas could be going down here very, very shortly. I don't know how he's going to counter this. He does have some tanks out in the middle of the field holding the contain, but he can't really afford to bring them back. If he does, he will lose control of the map, and then he will probably lose his northern expansion. So very, very tough spot right now for Midas. We see him rebuilding a lot of supply depots, rebuilding a lot of factories in different locations, trying to keep himself into the game. But this is a really, really amazingly effective drop by Frozean. Very, very well played. And yeah, look, I really think he's going to win this game, Frozean. Killing off all of these factories, forcing Midas to use all of this SCV time to rebuild, and all this money to rebuild supply depots, to rebuild factories. This is really, really awful for Midas. Absolutely awful. Thankfully, the one thankful thing is that Midas didn't lose his main army yet, although it looks like he might. Frozean pushing out with a huge army, a ton of tanks, and Goliaths, and even some SCVs mixed in to absorb some fire and get some... Wow, Frozean. Very, very well played. I mean, I know I make fun of Frozean a lot, but I am very, very impressed by this game. Frozean playing very, very well. I am really impressed. That was well played. He's going to win this game at this point. I'm 95% certain. For Midas to come back from this would be absolutely epic. To lose your main doing no counter damage and still somehow come away with the victory would be just... shocking, really. It looks like one of the factories that got lifted off is going to be destroyed. And Midas GG's forced to GG. Frozen just G'ing. Doesn't get the second G in before he pressed enter. But Frozean going to get a win and is going to move on to the third set. So Midas gets knocked off. King of the Hill, both teams have one win, and We Made Fox will have to make the next choice of who to send out onto Aztec. We will have to see. Actually, Aztec is a Zerg favored map, I think. No, it's not. What is this? I guess it'd be a Protoss favored map in PvT, so we'll probably see a Protoss for We Made Fox. Maybe a guy like Pure, or I think he's really the only Protoss that they have, I think. To the anything, I guess they have Lucifer as well. So, but I'm gonna assume that we'll probably see Pure come out in this next game to try and take down Frozean. And yeah, we'll see you guys on the next set. It will be on Aztec.
진짜 203 갖고 집어질지도 모른다는 거예요. 그럼요. 네, 정말 좋은 타이밍에 잘 밀어쳐서 100개를 받아낸 거예요. 네, 시작부터 이래서 대대전 승부 선방이 중요하구나. 네. 이런 것들을 다시 한번 느끼게 하는 그런 경기였습니다. 자, 김동원 선수가 전상